I want to give you my simple 5K a month creative business model that sustains this simple little life that I love. I want to give you all the essentials that you need to know to get your creative business started and to get quick results without abandoning your authenticity, and even if you're a complete beginner with no audience. So I want to show you exactly what you're going to learn. So in this video, you're gonna learn how to commit to your creative business idea without being half-assed about it, even if you have 20 different ideas, what the true bare minimum to start getting clients is, even if you're a beginner, and how to experiment fast so that you can get feed forward, not feed back. I like to say feed forward. Even if you fear failing, because we all fear that as creatives trying to get our work out into the world. Also want to share the mindset and embodiment that you need to succeed through any adversity and hardship. And last but not least, the single most important bit of wisdom that you need to know if you're thinking about becoming a creative entrepreneur. So anybody, and I mean anybody who considers themselves creative can do this. So be sure to stay until the end to make sure you get all of the grounded, practical, and juicy wisdom that I've learned from my, over like a decade-long journey of being a creative entrepreneur. So I want to share a little bit about me. I got started, my first real endeavor in entrepreneurship was making surfboards. I grew up in Southern California. Surfing is a huge part of my life, and I couldn't afford to go buy a $1,500 longboard, so I started making them myself. And that was my introduction to what it's like to express my creativity and to offer that to the world and to sort of make a business from it, you know? There was a lot that I did wrong, you know, like there was so much I didn't know. My dad would end up buying me all the little miscellaneous tools that I didn't know that I needed, that the cost that really would have added up to make no profit margins at all, but my dad would get me little things like sanding pads and this and that. But I was young, I was like 15, and I was just learning about what it's like to trade my creativity for value and money in the marketplace. And then I really got into furniture, started doing furniture, and I got kind of this traction with winning some awards for my furniture, and I really just loved that process of still something that I could make completely myself in a relatively short amount of time, not too big. But then I got into architecture because I went to architecture school and I wanted to build space. And there was something about like the scale of something that you inhabit as a human. Not like massive homes, but just I did little cabins, like this little A-frame. And then I started to really pivot and think about what am I good at? What blends my love for art, architecture, mathematics, making, but what's something that's also just really lucrative? And I started to get into metalwork because it's a really pragmatic need that most homeowners need. It's a service that's you can do pretty much anywhere. And instead of having to rely on selling a piece of furniture for $5, $10K, what if I just built a handrail for $5K? There's an immediate use case for it. It keeps people safe, it's needed for code, and a lot of people have staircases and things like that. So it shifted my mindset about being able to detach away from something super glamorous and think about what still combines all the things that I love and I can make good money from. And of course, I still love doing architecture. That's still a part of my craft, but for the most part, as much as I love tiny cabins and things like that, the most part, my bread and butter comes from doing really high quality, artistic, architectural metalwork. So I've tried more than a fair share of different creative business ideas, but I can truly tell you that the principles for creating a sustainable and pleasurable business are always the same. And I learned this the hard way because what is sustainable must be pleasurable. There's no such thing as sustainable if you don't like what you're doing. Even if you love designing furniture and building architecture or whatever it is, but it's just painstaking and it takes all the energy out of you, it's probably, despite it being sexy and glamorous, maybe not what your true kind of heart is yearning for and what's valuable in the marketplace. So let's dive in to pillar number 1, committing to one idea at a time. Feel like you stuck in indecision, you have too much analysis paralysis, perfectionism, yada yada yada. I see you, I know you, I am you. I've been there and I still am there, you know. No one ever fully transcends out of these things. We just learn how to collaborate with them. So I want to show you how I have started to learn how to make great decisions beyond the sort of, oh my gosh, I have 20 ideas, I'm gonna try to do all of them. It doesn't work like that, you know. So what I've learned is that it doesn't actually matter what you choose. It only matters how you choose it. When I was first starting really committing to my business when I got out of college, I had 12 different ideas. And I tried to perfect every single idea and know every single step of the way before starting. And ultimately, I kind of just, not wasted time because I don't believe in that, but I just really let my fire subdue because I was so paralyzed by my own perfectionism and inability to decide. And if you want to take a physiological standpoint, my creativity was so strong and my inability to choose was sort of a reflection of where my mind and my nervous system were not in harmony. Like I was in freeze. I couldn't actually make a decision because it didn't feel safe to make progress. That's a different rabbit hole for another story. But a great way to do this is the literal coin flip. Do I have a coin in my pocket? Yes, I do. So it's like, if you have an ultimatum, literally get a coin, call heads for one business idea, tails for the other, flick it, catch it, and then put it on the back of your wrist. Now this is what's really important. You have to be completely detached about what this is, and all you're being asked to do is to tap into like the true feeling of your body. The second you reveal it, just listen to what your body says. If it's an immediate hard no, then it's a no. Was it dysregulated? Did your body close off? Listen to that. Did you feel like calm, like you knew that needed to happen? Or my favorite is, did it land on tails and it immediately showed you that you wanted it to be heads? That's a great sign to show you where your intuition is using something formal to speak to you. So I know it sounds silly and super redundant, but just trust it. And also be okay with there being some amount of fear in your decision. The thing that excites you is also the thing that you have that you fear, because excitement and fear are literally two sides of this same coin. So anything that really lights you up is gonna have some fear in it. And it's good to show you because that path has a lot to teach you. Wherever there's fear, there's an opportunity for freedom there. And so another rule of thumb for great decisions is the 80-20 rule. Basically it says, how can I make decisions 80% faster but with 20% less certainty? Because let's face it, the last 20% of certainty is what we spend 80% of the time on. Oh, I feel really good about that, but then you try to work out the details, and there's a place for that. Those details are super valuable. But this is about creating more connection with your gut, because your gut is your real first brain. They call it the second brain. It's much bigger than your first brain. And we can learn to use our intellect, but also learn to really trust that intuitive gut feeling. And also really, again, helps to understand how your body responds physiologically, your nervous system. Look into that at your own time. But really tap into, how can I feel 80% more comfortable being 20% less certain? Instead of going for 90% certainty, 100% certainty, what about, you know what, I'm 80% certain, let's just do it. And then you save the weeks, months, whatever. And then you get to learn the lesson. Even if you fail and fuck up, you got to learn a beautiful lesson. I like to say, waiting for total certainty will always result in you missing the bus. You know, it's like, it's gonna pass you by. So now let's talk about the bare minimum of what you need, and it's so much more simple than you're led to believe, because everybody is so caught up in trying to do things digitally and like listening to all these gurus out there. You don't need any of that shit. You don't need an audience, you don't need nothing, you don't need a ton of experience, even though of course you need some, and you don't need to act like someone you're not. It's just about being you, and the trick to being you is get local. You probably live somewhere on the earth, and if not, well, I don't know what to tell you. There's probably some place you call home or some place you currently are. I truly believe that the quickest way to getting your creative business off the ground, to get that flywheel moving, is the thing that's closest to you, which is community, what's around you, the people that you interact with on a daily basis. Don't dive into the distraction of needing to do everything online in this digital world. You can grow into that. Hence, like, this is what I'm into now, but the bread and butter of everything in my life happens locally. So get started with your friends, family, community members, dog owners that you see, whatever it might be. I wanna show you exactly what you're gonna do. Make a business card. I know it's old school, but just make a business card. Here's mine. Please don't call me. But this is an example of how simple it is. I literally have my name, my number, my website, and I just say clearly what I do. I'm an architectural designer and metal fabricator, creating handsome furniture and unique architectural elements from a lovely little barn in sunny California. That's pretty authentic to who I am, and it's very clear, and it doesn't have any noise. It's super legible, clean, and I made the mistake of making business cards with really small text back in the day, and old people can't read that. If it passes the old people test, meaning they don't have to take out their glasses or use a magnifying glass, then you're on the right page. But just super simple, truly, like the simpler the better. Buy 50 of them online at Vistaprint or something like that, and then literally just make it your goal to pass out 50 in a week. Go to your coffee shop, the places where you walk your dog, I don't know, wherever these cool young creative kids that you are hang out nowadays, just pass them out, make it your goal. But understand that the goal isn't just to like get your business cards everywhere so everyone sees what you do, because your business card will probably never get you a client. But what will get you a client is the space that's created when you say, hey, and by the way, I'm thinking of starting this business, and you get to have that conversation. The potential project comes from the conversation, not somebody seeing your thing on a wall or that being in somebody's wallet. It just won't. I don't think I've ever gotten a call from somebody who's like, I saw your business card posted on the bulletin board. No. It's always come from, hey, by the way, here's my business card, and then you start talking about it, you know? And so if you get 50 of those out to 50 people, let's say you fully commit to it, but I know that you might not, so let's say maybe you get 20 to people. That's 20 conversations. That's, one of them comes through, that means just 5% of people that you engage with and tell that this is the service that you have are interested in your service. That's pretty darn good. 50 is better because then one person's bound to say sure, you know, or maybe 10, who knows? People, you have no idea. It's all uncertainty. But to whoever's interested, offer what's called free practice. So when I first started making surfboards, I made one for myself. And then other people are interested in like, look, I suck at this. And like, no worries, I want to support you, I want a board from you. And it's like, okay, great, how about you pay for the materials and I'll just make it for you. Now, yeah, I put in the time and effort to do it, and I didn't get paid for that, but I got paid to practice, and then it led to more work and more work and more work where I made good money from it. So the same thing with whatever you have to offer, whether you're an artist wanting to paint murals, or whether you're a graphic designer, or whether you're somebody who's really good at making hats, I have no idea what it is. Offer that free practice. Just have the person pay for materials and just be really, really clear and consistent with the way that you communicate through the process. If nobody's interested, you're gonna have to self-fund a project. This is what I did with all of my furniture. I literally just put all my money into getting material for furniture and would document the process and take really sexy photographs of it. That way I have a piece not only for my portfolio, but I have a story about it, and I can share it places, and I can use that as a vessel to say, hey, look at what I can do. So document the whole process of whatever you're building, creating, making, and write a short story about that process. Write a strong hook, say what your goal was, how you approached the problem, and what you learned, what didn't go so super well, what you would change, and just be authentic to your character, you know? That leads us into like really experimenting fast. So we have the internet, and we can use the internet in a local way. How I love to do that is creating a personal Nextdoor account. So go on to Nextdoor, sign up for your community, just make a personal page, get a nice, you know, headshot, whatever, and write whatever thing you want to write on your bio. I don't think it matters. And just post an introduction of yourself. Hey everybody, like I'm Kev, I'm just joining this community, I live in this town. I really am so grateful to be here and to connect with you all. I'm an architectural designer and fabricator, and these are just the things that I'll be sharing. I'll be talking about space and sculpture and materials and whatever it is. Open the field up, you know, just make your presence known. And then by this time, either you've gotten a potential client or you've self-funded a project, so you have a process of photographs and of learnings to share. Get into the habit of, you know, posting. Post a story that you've written, the one that we said before, with your photographs in whatever community you're in. Sometimes it's like you could post in the whole city, in other little townships, whatever it is. Just go to Nextdoor, write a story, post it with some pictures of your process, and create a clear call to action at the bottom of the post. Even if it's just an email, even if it's just, hey, if you're ready for XYZ, email me at yada yada yada. Here's an example. I have a website, so it's a little different. But even if you don't have a website, you can do this. At the end of this post, I said, hey, if you're looking for a nice handrail to elevate your space, consider filling out this short form below to get started. Really soft, really gentle, unobtrusive, and that booked more than $10,000 worth of work for me. Crazy. So you don't need a website, you don't need anything fancy. Just if you wanted to create a free landing page or an intake form with something like Typeform, you can do that, but just for now, maybe don't even worry about that. I'll do that in another video, tell you how these resources that you can use. Just say, hey, consider emailing me below. Boom, put your email right there, and I think you can probably hyperlink it, yada, yada, yada. And just post 2 to 3 times a week, respond to every comment that you get. I live in a small town and a decent amount of people comment. If you live in a city, yeah, a lot of people are probably gonna see what you do, so that's great. The thing about Nextdoor is it's social media for older people, so people with higher net worth. So it's people who can afford creative services, right? So stop marketing to your buddies on Instagram. That might be working, I get it, but this is a different way to just immediately get people who might need your service and are willing to pay for it and a resource to do that. That's how it's worked for me and for other people I've seen. So just one strategy here, but this is about helping you get started and getting quick results. If you don't want to get started and you don't want quick results, then maybe this isn't for you. So while you're doing this, take note of what's working and what's not working. You know, this post got no new leads. This post got a lot of people talking. Maybe I'll keep doubling down on that. Man, how can my hook be stronger? I was reading it and I was like, you know what? I wouldn't click on that. Or am I actually positioned as somebody who has integrity to provide this service? Ask yourself and answer those questions, you know? I don't recommend putting a call to action on every single post. 1 time a week is plenty because the Nextdoor algorithm shows it to everyone who happens to log on. So yeah, just have fun. Write, share your work, and be you, you know? The sillier, the better, in my opinion. I share silly things like that happen, like, oh man, the cows got out, and I literally was in my welding mask chasing the cows around, whatever it is. And don't be afraid to share what you fucked up, what didn't work, you know? People love honesty like that, you know? So a huge part about getting all of this off the ground sustainably, your creative business, is the mindset and embodiment that you need for success. So you can count on the fact that life is always going to life you. What do I mean? Shit's gonna happen. It doesn't matter you know, how amazing you think you are or how smoothly things have worked out in your life. Life is going to life you. So you might have beginner's luck or you might not. Here's the thing, you cannot control circumstance, but you can create a way of relating to circumstance that is more expansive than contractive. So what I mean is you're not in control of how people respond to your work, what you share online, what you've done in the past, but you are in control of the integrity you show up with, the willingness to fail while knowing you're not a failure, how you lean into your fears and truly feel them fully, and how you become the version of you that you want to become regardless of the outcome. Because this is what's helped me tremendously in my creative entrepreneurial journey. Being totally committed to the process, yet completely detached of the outcome. Because so often it's easy for people who start businesses and creatives to realize, oh, I want to get there, and once I get there, like I'll feel so good about myself, and I'm gonna work really hard to get there so that. I want to flip that on its head. It's like, who's that version of me that's already out there, and how can I be that person now? Oh, that person is really connected to their heart and their emotions and really just allows themselves to be present with all of the feelings that life presents them. That person makes decisions 80% faster and 20% less certainty. That person really is a very, very clear communicator, even if it hurts. Oh, sweet. I'm gonna focus on being that person, and maybe I'll get there, or maybe I'll get somewhere even better, because that's the sweet spot for success. When you show up as the person you want to be without placing your self-worth on getting to a certain outcome, that's where pure possibility becomes available. And by pure possibility, I literally mean magic, true magic, when you live a life that you can't even imagine how you got there. That's what happens when you open up to uncertainty and just show up. Here's a photo of me falling on my ass because that's what life's gonna do to you. Now, last but not least, the bonus wisdom. You have to stay connected to your most current sense of self. Learn this from me. You're gonna be different 6 months from now than you are today. It's safe to change and to approach creative business, the way you express yourself, how you market yourself, position yourself, even what you do. In fact, it's actually a necessity. Of course, don't chase the shiny objects, but realize that you're going to change and you can't hold on to old dreams. If you've done all this growth and change, yet you're still trying to make this old dream happen, there's already a direct disharmony there. So as you update the way that you relate to yourself and you live your life, you're gonna have to update the way that that shows up in work, which might be, man, I've been building this business for years and it's been primarily around furniture. Maybe I just wanna start building handrails and gates because it frees up my schedule 50% more and I charge 3 times as much for it. And it's like, yeah, maybe it's not as sexy or whatever, but I really enjoy that process of like still getting the joy of designing this thing that's architectural, but the space that it frees up in my life, ooh, yeah, hard to beat that. So there's no such thing as a fantasy, because once you step into creatorship, you're constructing your reality every day. Once you're like a co-creator and participating in creating your dream, the dream gets muddy and the dream changes. So allow yourself to change and pivot when you feel it on a gut level. Listen, lean in, learn to love the evolution. You literally have no idea what tomorrow will reveal, so just stay with the present feeling. That's the most important thing I can impart to you as you start your creative business. So thank you all for watching this video. If you found this helpful, please let me know. Like, subscribe, drop me a comment, and I'm looking forward to seeing what y'all have to say and seeing you in the next video. Ciao.